I don't know how you do this.
It's easy. We just talk. We're just two guys talking.
Two guys talking. We used to do a lot of this.
Do the do. So Matt McCormick's here, you guys. Usually I introduce our guests 45 minutes in, but since this is probably the last show, maybe second to last show before I go on hiatus for about 3 or 4 years, I want to do things right. And previous to jumping on mic, I'm going to enunciate. I'm going to try not to eat as much on mic, but I have to eat while I'm recording because all my things kind of are I don't take lunch really. I just eat. I have a plate full of food and I eat it while I'm doing something.
I keep hearing you talk about for fuel, you just eat because it's something you have to do, and yeah. I've gotten there now.
Right?
For everything besides dinner. Dinner I have fun, but daytime it's like the same thing every day.
You have to put stuff inside you to keep yourself going.
Protein.
Protein.
I'm part of that lame trend.
It's not lame.
No, I know, but
this is growing up.
It was the meme that I saw. I was like, I didn't realize in my 30s like how much protein would be in my brain all day.
Is it good on mic?
Oh yeah.
You didn't realize how protein obsessed you would become.
How much like space protein would take in my brain every day, like intake. I know you're on that.
It's all I think about. Well, it's the only thing, everything I've ever done in my life to try to like be healthy or be in shape. The only thing that has ever worked is like, well, two things. No sugar is one, and number two is instead of trying to hide from food, seeking out protein. So I'm not worried about like, oh, I can't eat this. It's like, no, how much protein can I get in myself? And it's never enough because according to the rules, I should be eating probably like between 230 and 250 grams of protein a day, which is impossible.
Yeah, I don't know how you do that.
That's like 4 to 5 steaks or, like that's so much protein.
Well, someone the other day told me that if you drink too much at one time, it actually doesn't do anything. You just...
Oh, the protein shake?
Just shit it out.
You can only have one a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks. So
is that you can only have one a day?
That's what they say. One fake protein a day really is it. You know what has a lot of protein though? Salmon. I looked it up.
I'm a vegetarian, man. I'm boring.
Bro, let the fish in. Get pescatarian.
I was for
You're a veggie?
years.
How long have you been a vegetarian?
I was, and then I did like 3 years of pescatarian, and then I watched one of those docs and I saw them swimming around in the shit and I was like, can't do it anymore. And I feel better. The dogs and the animals. It's just like I just want them to do what they do. I don't want to eat them.
You don't eat meat because you don't want to hurt animals.
Yeah.
Well, let me let you know a little secret.
I feed my dogs meat.
Just by the virtue of you sitting here with me and having an art career and living in a nice home in where are you in Mount Wash?
Mount Washington.
You have a nice home in Mount Wash. You're literally a murderer. You have so much blood on your hands.
Well, I know.
On a global scale.
I'm trying to take some off.
Of humans.
I'm trying to take some off.
Not even animals. Here's the funny thing about people.
I care less about humans. I know that's going to be
richer people get, the less they care about humans, the more they care about animals. I was at a card game with some people that have significantly way more money than I have, and they started talking about animals. I could tell that everyone perked up and they're like, "We got to save these dogs," and that's what happens. You get enough money, and you're like, because you're just like, "Look, here's what I can handle. I can't save all the people, but you know what? I can save 4 dogs."
Oh, that's my fiance. She's one of those people that posts. Jane does this too.
Jane's a
Her
maniac.
and Jane are a team. They're like lobbying Newsom to help, which I support. But it's like the shelter dogs. It's that I can't watch that. It hurts my
Jane
soul.
Mosley is a pet pusher.
Yeah.
If I say the word dog within a 20-foot radius for her, there's 30 dogs in my text. And she's like, look, this guy's gonna get killed. Get this guy.
Yeah.
I made the mistake of telling her that I want to get a tortoise. And then she'll be like, this tortoise is ready right now. Go get it. I'm like, I don't even have a habitat yet. And I'm like, can you show me how to...
Your house would be good for a tortoise.
Yeah. It's been my dream since I'm a kid. I always wanted to have a tortoise. So Manface was on a plane in the first class cabin, of course, because we don't fly coach anymore, people. We fly first class, right?
Yeah.
You don't do coach. Once you go business, let's say
you can't
business.
go back.
Once you go business, it's hard to go back. Right?
I used to get really bad anxiety attacks on planes, like really bad. Part of my excuse to myself why I had to do so many drugs for so long was if I was flying, my anxiety was too crazy. So once I was able to push some of the money and write it off, because traveling is a write-off, it went up.
Listen, you don't have to justify it. I understand. If I'm doing a commercial, it's in my contract as a union director that they have to fly me business minimum.
Yeah.
I have to have a lie down because think about it this way. You're flying intercontinentally. You show up in Japan and you flew coach and you're trapped between like, you know, a couple old ladies that have the flu and you get there and your back hurts and you're not your best self and you need a day down.
Yeah.
They need you to get off that plane and get to fucking work.
They wasted their money.
So yeah, it's in everyone's best interest that, you know, that people fly first class. And it's nice. It's also sometimes
It's
when you,
the biggest upgrade in all upgrades.
but sometimes when you look at the
Coach
ticket,
is torture.
no, I know this isn't. People are gonna hate.
They're gonna hate. I'm just saying, like
gonna hate
it's crazy. It's like once you see the light,
This is
you're
the
like, oh
privilege.
shit.
This is the privilege pod. On the last pod, we're going to destroy everything that PTA has ever been about and just go pure privilege.
I mean, it's called business for a reason. That's what it's business.
Oh, but
class.
I'm the client of me. I got to show up, and I want to be the best. It's what you said. If you're working, you want to show up right, and like it's a business expense.
He's the client. He's the client of me. It's a Bjork song, isn't it?
I'm just saying, like, I want to be the best version of myself at all times.
course
If
you
we're
do.
talking about protein intake and the rest of it.
Yeah.
It would definitely serve me better not to spend the money on that and put it towards the dogs. But, you know.
Save the dogs. Well, the thing is too, sometimes when you look at the prices, like if it's coming out of my pocket directly, I'll balk. I'm like, dude, this is a used Honda right here.
Yeah.
This you know, sometimes you look at it, you're like, $15,000 for first class. You're like,
I mean, I would never do that.
no, nor would I pay for it. But
I know people that do. It's insane.
yeah. Oh, you know what's really nice? You know what's really nice is the little living room, the little suite,
I mean, I dream of these things.
the cubicle.
Yeah, I've seen pictures. I talked to my friend Jack about this. You know, to go to Japan, I've never done it, but it would be so cool. There's a one with like a chair and a bed.
There's a living room.
Yeah, there's a cuck chair in the
cuck chair.
in the cabin in your own personal suite.
I like too when I see like you'll see a girl on Instagram who's like a OnlyFans model in one of those cabins doing like content.
Well, she's making $80 million a month on
Exactly.
on OnlyFans. So
Yeah, and she's working.
Yeah,
That's a business.
she is working.
She is business class.
Yeah.
Love her. So yeah, you were in first class, and the thing that happened is you look next to you, and there's a woman drinking a Mountain Dew, and your mind says, I won't speak for you, but my mind goes the same place, which is like you're either a genius, savant, autistic, brilliant person, or you're a very low, what we like to call quote unquote low resolution. We call people that are not. We call people in the office low res.
What does that mean?
Retarded. Show's over. We can do what we want.
Well, cancel culture's over too.
I don't know about that.
Slow down a little bit.
Let's slow down.
Just pick a side.
So that person is either a savant genius, works for Kid Rock, or is a very low resolution human who somehow got into first class. And I don't know how they let you can't.
Well, it was Delta, and you know that's one of those airlines where everyone's upgrading if they fly ever. So you never know, but it was just a funny thing to see. Because she also came on, had her own meal. You know, they serve you food on that flight. She had her own meal. She was.
It's amazing how classist you've become, Memphis. It's insane. We used to live in a loft together, and you've just become this. Like you don't even. You're so classist that you don't even know it. You're like, I don't know how she got in there with her Mountain Dew.
No, it was just more that she was so prepared, and then Mountain Dew is just like.
It's
crazy that it
drink.
even exists. The fact that Mountain Dew hasn't been rebranded.
It's crazy.
It's like it's a drink of the 90s and the 80s.
I have to quote Adam Carolla. Remember that guy from K-Rock?
Of course, I used to listen to Loveline every night.
He used to call Mountain Dew nectar of the tards. A different time. I didn't say it. He said it. Go after him. And here's the crazy thing to boot about Mountain Dew. It tastes like shit.
I haven't drank it in so long.
I've had one.
It's crazy to me. Is there an alcohol version? There's got to be an alcohol version of it now.
Yeah.
For sure, right?
Mountain Dew would probably be good with some vodka in it, actually.
That seems like a fun, go to like a festival in Florida kind of drink.
Go to EDC,
Yeah.
take some 2C. have a shroom vape, have a Mountain Dew with tequila in it. You're good to go.
It was made as a whiskey mixer.
It was.
originally.
I have read this. That's where. Yeah. I know
That's what it seems like.
Yeah, I remember the origin story. It was like created in the South or something like that, and like
Yeah,
yeah,
at
they
least
used.
it was marketed towards people in the South.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
But now it's extreme. What was the other one? It was like Mountain Dew Triple X or
Code Red.
Code Red
For gamers.
It's Code Red. There's the blue one, which is my favorite.
I will
Yeah.
say this. Squirt. Have you ever had a squirt?
Yeah, of
A
course.
squirt's delicious. And a squirt is what a Mountain Dew should taste like. Squirt is basically like a grapefruit soda. It is so fucking good.
Yeah.
And I haven't had one in a while. But that's a good soda.
I'll say this. I'm from hippie Marin and had hippie parents, and I wasn't allowed to have sodas when I was a kid. So like I don't have the taste for it. I will say that like a can of Coke in my mind is so delicious, and then every time I drink it, it makes my teeth hurt, like grip each other almost.
Yeah.
It's like lockjaw.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I didn't really have soda a lot, and now I've just been a sparkling water guy forever.
Yeah.
And I
Well-
got so much shit when I moved here and worked on Fairfax. The whole street was like, "Why the fuck do you drink this shit?"
What do you mean? They were mad because you're drinking
No one
water?
could understand sparkling water. They're like, "Why isn't it soda?"
Oh, yeah.
They're like, "There's
They're like,
no-
where's the soda? You're like, this is water with bubbles.
Yeah, we now get it because
Yeah.
everyone's old, but they didn't get it in 2011 or whatever.
Well,
it was.
I'm also a sparkling water person, and I buy like Spindrift by the case, so the grapefruit one.
Yeah.
And also shout out to Perrier, sponsor part-time. They're a product sponsor of the pod. Also shout out to M Cafe. You ever had M Cafe?
I have had M Cafe.
The cafe shut down, but they're available on Postmates. Shout out to M Cafe. A perfect fucking bowl.
I'm always looking
Macrobiotic.
for a perfect bowl.
It's so goddamn good. It's like perfectly steamed. There's no oil.
It's over here?
to speak of. No, it's Postmates now. It doesn't exist as it's probably Ghost
Cloud
Kitchen.
Kitchen.
Cloud Kitchen. So, anyways, I drink bubbly shit because I like the bubbles. I'm drinking cans because I don't want to drink out of plastic because microplastics. This friend of mine told me, she goes, the average 20, I'm probably mangling this, but the average 24-year-old, if they extract all the plastic out of their brain, not just the body, all the microplastic out of their brain, you can make a spoon.
Yeah, I've been reading about this.
So,
It's not cool.
and then someone tells me, oh yeah, by the way, those cans lined with plastic. So I think I'm doing the right thing by drinking out of
These?
tin. Yeah.
Or lined
Those-
with plastic.
Those are lined with plastic, apparently. Which I don't get because if you peel them open, they're tin, but
I drink the Pellegrino ones because these are a little spicy for me, but
they're too spicy.
they have more kick than Pellegrino. This is a debate with everyone.
I feel like Pellegrino is stronger than this is Perrier. I feel like Pellegrino is stronger than
This
Perrier.
is not as strong as I'm used to with Perrier. But like Perrier, at most 7-Elevens, they have the Perrier plastic.
yeah.
Hate those.
Huh. I
They
always
have
felt
too much kick.
I always thought the Perrier was way softer than the Pellegrino.
No, Pellegrino is the softest.
I've been a Pelly boy for a long
Pellegrino
time.
is the velvet of sparkling waters.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well-
I'm kind of alone with that one, but
Guys, this is Manface, and he doesn't go by Manface anymore. Now he's an artist of note, and he's got heavy books, heavy publications. You have so many books, right? You make these books.
a lot of books.
I know this book is legit because it's so fucking heavy. But humble beginnings, and we'll tell this story again. I've told this story so many times to other people who bring you up on the show, and I'll tell it again with you here. This is the best. The first born and raised office. We move in, and it's probably after like about a year maybe, because I know this because the marker is I had relapsed, and
no, but you were sober when we got the place.
yes, I was sober.
You relapsed in the
I
place.
realized it in your office. So I actually haven't figured out how to pin. Let me pin some of that on you now. So this is this is probably 2014-ish, and maybe late 13, 14. And Dr. Face had an apartment / tattoo studio / art studio in MacArthur Park in the American Cement Building, and his part of it was subdivided into a tattoo area and a sleeping area.
So that's
Outside-
the painting area. It was all smashed.
in a painting area. And outside of that was a living room that we moved into. And we moved a bunch of desks and computers in there. And we had 3 people, me, Sponto, and Carlos.
Yeah.
And we were in there. And shortly after everything kind of, Sponto got sick. He had cancer. I relapsed. And I just remember it was fun. Obviously, we had a lot of fun in there. And the best thing about it was the argument that we would have, because we're in a room together every day, and we're all going to rub each other the wrong way.
Also, the walls didn't go to the ceiling.
No,
so there was no. It was just one room.
It was so fucked because we got to go home. You were home.
Yeah.
So like your life, like
I woke up and Carlos was walking in to work.
Yeah. You don't get to sleep in.
I would go have my coffee and Carlos, like I'm in my, my boxers, whatever. But you guys were in the building first.
No.
And then the space became available. Yeah. You are. It was like
we went
someone
downstairs.
you were working with downstairs. Because I went and visited you guys there. Yeah, with Elliot.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember because I have a picture.
We were down there all the time with Elliot.
Yeah.
But we weren't moved in.
Yeah. But
you might have been working out of there a little bit.
Yeah, you were working out of there a little bit. And then the space became available. And then we all got, Sponto and I had been talking, and then we were all talking, and that became available, and we took it.
And we took it, and
it was like 3-4 years.
It was a while. And then we moved into our own space downstairs eventually. But in that space, the argument that you and I would have, there was something that would get to a fever pitch. We'd be pissed off at each other, and you'd be like, "You're fucking working in my house," and I go, "Yeah, but you're living in my office." That was the argument, and we were both right, and we were both wrong.
Yes,
and it was stupid. We're kids. I mean, we weren't kids. I feel like I was a kid, but I wasn't a child.
Yeah.
I'm ancient, so I was like, definitely wasn't a kid. I was like in my 40s. So that was that, and I think that like. I think about those times, and like we were all just kind of hanging on by a thread trying to figure things out. And the funny thing about working it out of your house, which was a loft that was subdivided, was that like, you would tattoo someone and then they would come over, they'd step outside of the tattoo home and be in our office, and we talk to them. It was like this kind of cool ecosystem. But what's fucked for you is that like, there was no boundary between us. Like we were intimate with like your sex life. Like we're just like, like, I mean, I'm sure you fucked while we were there at some point. I'm sure it had to happen. And like, we would just like go in your bedroom, and like, there'd be like, what is it? There'd be stuff on the bed. I'm not gonna blow up your spot, but giant cylindrical devices, huge, like monstrous handcuffs, whips, just all kinds of dark shit.
It was a phase.
And, it was funny. And like, it was a very interesting and small kind of petri dish, and it was cool too because sometimes we could just be like,
it was some of the most fun I've ever had.
It was great.
I mean, when I moved here, Sponto was one of the first people I met when he was a promoter.
Oh yeah.
And he was promoting at one of the clubs in Hollywood, and I went with Spody and Spit, and they're like, come meet Sponto, and then like he was immediately open arms,
right.
And then it was, I was on Fairfax. I was working on Fairfax, so I saw him like every day, and then him and Spody were living together, and I would sleep on their couch all the time.
Oh fuck!
Like that was like, I would drink at Kibitz room, and then I would go pass out on their couch, like that kind of vibe for years, or the early times, and then I got sober. You helped me get sober. I would go to meetings with you early on.
Oh yeah.
When I went up north for 4 months. When I came back, I would go to meetings with you and Nate.
Wow.
And then, so that's how I knew you. And then through the brand, because I was like in the first video. I mean, I was around for all that. First. Yeah. The Town I'm From video.
Yeah. Oh, that
was the last time I had long hair.
The second video. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I have long hair in that video. And yeah, then we got the space. And honestly, I guess will forever be some of the best times of my life.
I mean, we really were operating, and we're still trying to like change the way we do things to this day. But like, we were fucking pirates. Like it was just very incredibly lawless. Like,
yes.
Like everywhere we went, when we shot that video at this stage, we got 86 there from Life because like some people there started like strong arming some of the other, some of the other patrons and the other, it was like, it's crazy. But everything, it's interesting. I thought about this the other day, and I thought about like, because I always talk about starting a company or a project, and I always talk about the very beginning when there is nothing, when you have absolutely nothing. I love it the most. And I realized why. I didn't understand why. Now I realize because like, A, you can do anything and you will do anything to get your message across. B, there's no actual real timeline. So you're not connected to like a real calendar. It's just like whatever the fuck we can do to get this shit over the finish line. So then creatively, you're just like, you can be like, you know what? I need more time. I'm going to make this even better. Because now we're locked into this like whole calendar and widgets, and it's like, oh, we have to have this done by this day, and let's go with it. Like, it's like we're locked in for like a year in advance. And before it was like, yeah, fuck it, man. Let's just go to the beach and fuck around for an evening and see what comes out of it. You know,
Yeah,
like
money's not as much of the main motivator.
it was.
you
Yeah,
know?
it was like, it wasn't even it was like we didn't even give a shit. It was like, yeah, maybe, who knows?
Yeah.
Let's just get this done.
Yeah, no.
And it was funny too with you. Is like, you know, if we were like, damn, we don't have any designs, we'd be like, let's go in Manface's tattoo studio and like pull out some flash. We'd be like, hey, can we have this and this? And we take it. I'd Photoshop it together and be like, here's the.
I pulled out one of those shirts yesterday, and I'm reorganizing the part of the studio, and I have these boxes that my studio manager like hates me for.
Yeah.
He's like, it's just clutter. You're a hoarder.
Yeah.
And I was like, the original graphics, like the first graphics I ever did, and one of them that I pulled out was a Snooty Fox ballpoint pen one that I did.
Oh yeah, a little snooty. And there was one with
It's a rite of passage at that time to do a Snooty Fox.
to do a snooty fox. Yeah. And there's one that has like palm trees and barbed wire, Paradise Lost or something.
That
right?
one that's tattooed on Lee. And
is
then, yeah, he has that like on his. Well, I did it on him, and then we made the graphic based on the tattoo.
Right.
And then there was another one with like I think it was probably like I don't know, Trolla chick, like hair and a bunch of faces in it or something like that. Or maybe like a guy. I don't know. I was doing a lot of that, Chicano American style stuff at the time. So
Yeah.
it blended very well with what you guys were doing.
Yeah.
I was pretty much in costume every day.
This was Manface was a cholo.
Yeah. Had the low rider, had it all.
You know what's funny? Like being the age I am and like not, because you start if you being a part of a company like ours, you're exposed to a cross section of like youth that like otherwise someone my age would not be exposed to, and really rapidly. And there were so many things I had to adjust to. I was like, at that time, 10 years ago, there was a lot of guys who dressed like vintage gang members, and I would see them and be like, oh, these dudes are these dudes are obviously Crips. And I'd be like, who are these guys? They're like, nah, they're fashion Crips.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, what are you talking about? I'm like, they're not from anywhere? Like, no. I'm like, that's crazy. Because like when I was a kid, if you dressed that way, you had to be prepared to pay some consequences. And like, you look like a fucking cholo. There's other fools around who look like, everyone looked like some sort of version of, like the whole, and like the kit would be perfect. But it was like 90s. It wasn't like the new version of what that looks like.
Well, fortunately, I had like Alexis and you and other people that like knew it very well to critique it. I mean, when I finished the steps with Alexis, he gave me a Pendleton shirt and he taught me how to shine my shoes.
He did?
Yeah, my, Stacey Adams. It was like, and he gave me the homemade tattoo machines that he would make. But like, it was like, it couldn't have fed into that personality or costume.
Yeah, and once I was like, what are you doing? Dressing like that? But then he gives you all the tools.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, who do you think you are? And he gives you like a homemade tattoo machine. That guy is a real sweetheart,
Well, he's mastered his world so well. His attention to detail is unmatched.
It's crazy. You know what's funny is like, we did a project with him, and I've known him.
Yeah,
he's a dear friend of mine. I've known him for so long, and really kind of like a fixture in my life of someone who's like always been the same. I can go to when I want to hear a no frills assessment of what's going on. I go to his house for Christmas. Like he's just like he'll fuck with you, he'll talk shit, but like he really is a solid guy.
Yes,
very solid guy. But he's very, very, very critical. He doesn't even know how critical he is. And we're doing a project together for Gents that we just dropped with Union. And I was like, look, because he was going to be at the photo shoot. He's like, he can't be there. I go, look, here's the deal. Whatever we do, you're going to hate regardless of what we do. And I know that. And it was crazy because he's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, it was like the first he'd ever heard of him being hypercritical. And I could tell it kind of like,
you opened a door that.
I could tell it kind of bummed him out a little bit because he was like, what? And I'm like, dude, there's no world where we can even come close to doing what you would want us to do.
Well, he has such an eye.
No, he's
that's
very
like
particular.
Unmatched.
Yeah.
And I'm an artist and you're an artist. And it's like when you have a vision for something, anything that strays out of it. I mean, I'm dealing with this now. It's like, it's really hard to let go. And you have to do it for the success of a brand or these kinds of things. But he doesn't really have to do it with his art because he kind of exists in this almost like mythological place. You know what I mean? Before I knew him, it was like, you would see his stuff and you were like, who did that? Who's this? And then you see pictures of him, you're like, it doesn't help. It doesn't make it easier. You're like, fuck. Now who is that guy? Like,
Yeah.
what the? You know what I mean? Like, it's very
Well, you know what's interesting is that him and Finn,
another mythological creature.
another mythological, the two mythological griffins, we started Gentle Desire together. But previous to that, him and Finn decided they wanted to learn how to sign paint. This is like 20 years ago.
Yeah, before everyone.
And nobody was doing, no one even really paid attention. They were like, this is really interesting, window painting, sign painting. No one in the art world was doing it, as far as I know.
It
So
wasn't the next step of graffiti writers, either tattooing
No.
or sign painting.
They were the first people to do it, or that I knew to do it. And what they would do is they'd go to local businesses around here in East LA and Silver Lake, Echo Park, all over the place. And they go, hey, can we paint your sign? And they'd be like, what do you mean? Like, we want to paint it for free. And they go, fuck it. Because they would have some terrible shit.
Yeah.
And they would paint like, there's a Thai restaurant down in off a Temple. There's a auto body shop. And they would just go and like, just for fun, take a weekend and just hand paint everything.
God, I'd love to see that documented.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, like, it became such a thing to where, like, there was a whole generation of kids that went to LACC, took a sign painting course, inspired by those two guys who never took the course, who just learned how to do it. And then
Oh, they taught himself, self-taught.
they taught themselves. They didn't take the class, no. And they, they're doing it with one shot and the whole thing. And like,
But that's probably why there's looks the way it does. It
has a look.
Has look. That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah,
I didn't know
and yeah, and it's crazy. And like that, obviously, so much of the influence that he's had on me without me even knowing about it is so crazy. If I look around this wall, like if you look at like those that writing that says "Crybaby Lover Boy" and all that shit to the left, it's like very like scripty. Like that's all them.
Yeah.
And it's like me watching them and then me going like, well, let me try this, and me doing it for fucking 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
And me doing my own bastardized version of it that's also fucked up but kind of cool.
Yeah, but you have your own style. It's developed your own one from it.
Right, but it's from them.
Because I can look at his and look at yours and very much see the difference, like immediately.
Yeah, his is way better. And his,
Well, it's different.
like his, if you look at that thing over there, it says Gentle Desire, like his ballpoint pen cursive is crazy.
His
like,
script is unmatched.
No matter what I do, and it's straight out of Teen Angel, the way it loops, like I'll never get there.
Yeah.
And I've been doing it for, it's been 20 years of me fucking around with it.
Yeah, I didn't put nearly as much time as he put in. I mean, I was doing a lot of that for a while, but you look at what he does, and it's not what is in Teen Angel, but it looks like it would be in Teen Angels, but it's perfect, and it's his thing. And he's not crossing any lines of, breaking any rule, any of that kind of stuff. He's like it's crazy. That stuff was super influential on me at that time for sure.
There's a Teen Angel that there's a picture of him in it.
I've seen it. Yeah,
It's private dancer.
I think I have it actually.
Yeah, it's like him, like because he used to take his family every year down to Slauson to get their pictures taken.
Yeah,
and then one of those. Anyways, yeah, the guy he's a great. He's also like a great like there's people use this term way too much. I think, and I would I wouldn't want to embarrass him and tell him this to his face because we're friends, but like I think he's kind of a legend. Like
I
think
say he's a legend.
And there's not a lot of people who I think.
Well,
are
what I was
legendary.
gonna say is when Nate connected us and he took me through the steps, like at the time that was like me getting to do a really important thing that I needed to do in my sobriety with like a legend idol of mine. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I knew him, but I was like really also in awe of his creative prowess or whatever,
And that's his job as a person in that program to, if you're coming there because you really want to hang out with him, but then
that wasn't what it was. It was a baseball coach. That was what like Nate sold it, and that's what it was. It was not like some.
Because when you do it with him, you're like, oh, this sucks.
No, that when I finished the steps, that was the only part of that was like that. Everything else was like, you're doing this the way it's supposed to be done. Yeah. No, it was
No,
not.
when I say it sucks, I mean in the best possible way.
Yeah,
But he's
sucks.
gonna put you through. He's not gonna let you fuck around.
No.
He will not.
I would get scolded at meetings.
He'll scold you.
Yeah.
And he will not co-sign your bullshit.
Yep. No, not at all. But I needed it at the time. It was great.
We all need it.
Yeah.
I'm fucking. Are you kidding me? Like nothing happened in my life. That's not true. A lot of great shit happened in my life once I actually shut up and listened to someone and took direction.
Yeah.
And it took me a very long time. It took like this time around 10 years ago for me to go, okay, you know what? I'll listen to these guys who I respect and I'll do what you tell me to do just this once. I never did it because I always thought I knew everything. And then in doing that, I was like, oh, I don't know anything. I'm actually ill-informed about everything, and I have no idea what's going on. In my mind, as a defense mechanism, like I know what's going on. I'm smarter than everybody. I know everything, blah, 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 but it's ridiculous. And as a result of not knowing anything and finding out that I didn't know anything, then I started going like, well, I guess I'll try all this other weird shit. And I started doing podcasting, jiu-jitsu, which is fucking lame because that's like,
ice bath, protein.
Yeah. I ended up being I ended up being the most unoriginal person ever.
Yeah.
As a result. No, like, it's all, I don't know. It's great. It works.
I do all that stuff so I can be a better version of what I want to be. And same with the sobriety stuff. I was just talking about this outside. I don't do that so I can just be an AA person. I do that so that I can be a better, all those other things person. And
yeah,
that's
we're in
where it
that,
stays.
we're a part of that world so we can exist in this world, in the real world.
Yeah.
But the two things for me now what's happened is that I need one to keep the other. Like I need to live in this mystery world that no one knows about to operate in the real world.
Yeah.
And when I leave this little weird secret world, the real world starts falling. It's like a mirror. It's like a dream world and
I
reality.
hate the real world if I don't participate in that world.
Right. And it's perspective, right?
Yeah.
You start to hate everything.
Well, then you want to go in your world, like, isolate or whatever.
You want to isolate. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm the worst at it. That's why I can't go to do anything ever.
Yeah.
Just work.
Yeah. Well,
Then I have a new addiction.
that's the other thing. Workaholism is a thing.
It's very
and like,
bad.
I'll take it. I'm like,
It's
what?
better than what I was used to do.
Yeah, I have a lot of isms still. The only one I don't have is that one, but there's still a lot of things that I do excessively that, like,
I think all people suffer from some version of it.
probably there's something going on, or like listen, we just take it back to the old days and like whatever happened to this. This is what I think about. This doesn't exist anymore at all. Whatever happened to being like, hey, Manface, what's up, man? What are you doing, bro? Do you want to play Sega? You want to play Sonic the Hedgehog? Bring your Sega over to my house. Yeah, we're gonna smoke some bongos. Like, there is no world where people like I don't hang out with anyone unless there's like something. And like it's so rare that I actually someone comes over and like kicks it. Like a friend. Like, do you ever sit with your homies to watch a movie?
I have one friend that I still do that with.
Dude,
Here in LA.
who? Jack?
Jack. And we used to do that at the Loft.
That's cool. I've lost that. I don't.
It's not as much as we used to. It was every night back then. I mean, literally at the Loft, we would order, I forget some pizza place. And
Yeah.
it's like the beginnings of Postmates and all
Yeah.
that kind of.
Oh, dude.
We would go to, actually, our thing was we wanted to become locals at Pacific Dining Car. So we would have the puppies at the house and then we would leave them alone and we would go to Pacific Dining Car after 10 so we could get the cheap menu.
Oh, right.
And we would go 3 to 4 nights a week.
Oh, really?
But we would mainly just be sitting there smoking cigarettes. I'd be
Right.
chain smoking cigarettes and he'd be smoking weed, doing what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So that's the one person I kind of still have that with, but it's much more minimal. And the main reason it's still there is because my fiance and him are also friends. So we kind of all do it together.
Right. You do it together.
Yes.
Yeah, you're a fiance, so it's different. But like, there is something pure about, before, like, there were times in my life where there was a time like a long time ago, like over 20 years ago, where I'd been done with drugs and partying. I did all the fucking clubs and the party, and I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore. I've maxed out. So then I was in this place where I was like, I didn't really have anything to do. And I remember sometimes I would hang out with these group of people and we would just be like, you guys want to play Pictionary? Like, we would play Pictionary and eat candy.
So wholesome. Yeah. What age is this?
This is like early 20s, early sobriety. Because I usually what we would do is get
Okay.
together and do drugs and
When
fucking
you
be
went
weird.
to UCLA?
That was post UCLA.
Okay.
Yeah.
But around that time.
After that, yeah.
This was so first sobriety round, because I know that there was a first sobriety round and then there was a second sobriety round. We're in second sobriety round.
Yeah.
And
20 years ago, I had 12 years.
well,
now
when I
have
was
9.
listening to the podcast on the way over here, I didn't know you went to UCLA.
Yeah.
You've never mentioned that to me once.
Yeah.
Which-
well, because I dropped out of high school. I got myself in UCLA and then I dropped out of UCLA. So it's like I didn't really go.
You still got in.
I got in. Yeah.
That's a good one.
I have the capacity. I just can't fucking be taught. Like,
Yeah.
I cannot sit in a room and have someone talk to me. Like, my brain is like, there's no world where I'm gonna sit here and not be doodling. Like,
Yeah.
I can't do it. Like, and the only time I ever listened in UCLA, I mean, I did listen because there's a lot to learn. And I learned a lot. I learned how to make a shot list. I learned a lot about theory because the head of the film department was really good friends with Scorsese. And so he had a class that was all Scorsese movies, and I was like, fuck yes. So I was all ears there.
Yeah.
But everything else, we're looking at fucking, French New Wave, Truffaut. Like some of it, I was like, some of it stuck, but some of it I couldn't connect to because it was.
I had the same experience. I didn't go to college, so because I went for like a year at a city college in San Francisco, and then I was like, no.
Yeah.
I was too concerned with partying and the rest of the fun stuff, and then I kind of went vicariously through my friends when I moved to New York.
It was such a massive effort for me because I dropped out of high school, and then I was like, I just basically was like, I think I became very concerned because everyone around me was like starting to fall apart. I was in Venice and like, shit's just getting bad. And I was like, damn, I'm going to fucking become like a weird statistic of like, guy could have done something. And I didn't even know if I could do stuff. I didn't have any belief. I was like, I think I can do some things. I really want to do some stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can. So then I would just like, I would like go to SMC, and like, high school with fucking ashtrays, right? Like, and, and I just do the best I could to like fucking get through class. But I remember too, like I had drug problems. Like I remember once I had like a swimming class and I was up all night fucking doing some drugs. And I remember I showed up the next day, like to my swimming test, and the teacher's like, wow, you look like shit. I'm like, yeah, I think my eyes are doing fucking pinwheels, and like, I think I'm sick. She's like, okay, you can go home. Like shit like that, where I was hanging on by a thread.
Yeah. I had that moment. I thought I was like overdosing in class in my junior college experience. So, because I had stolen a bunch of like Demerol from my dad or something. Like,
I was so high that one of those times, this is how I was. This is great. Before I got in bed and attempted to try to sleep, I took a piece of dental floss, taped it to the ceiling, and taped it and dropped it all the way down to like face level and taped a piece of 8.5 by 11 piece of paper and wrote a note that said, get up, get out of bed, go to class. So when I woke up, I saw it. Like that's a
lot of effort.
I really didn't want to die as much as I was trying to die. Like there's 51% of me wanted to live and 49% of me didn't. And I made it through. Thin margin. Probably more.
You got through. Yeah, but the fact that you got into UCLA and you were sober at that age, that speaks volumes.
I had to. I was going to,
Well, exactly. But not everyone is a had to.
It's true.
There's a lot of fuck it, kind of forever.
Yeah.
I still have friends like that. So, it happens.
I mean, I just wouldn't be alive.
You had a desire to live that was stronger than
I wanted
your
to
desire
live.
die.
I want to live. And I still want to live. I want to live. I would like to live. I choose life.
Saunas, protein, and ice baths.
Yeah. That's it. Saunas, protein, ice bath, an insane amount of supplements. Yeah, M Cafe, supplements, water. Like this is the kind of shit I deal with, right? Before it was like, here are my existential dramas. It's like, okay, I'm not drinking. I lost the lid to this, which had like this rubber mouth thing that I drank out of. Now I had to switch out the lid. I found this lid. So if I'm not drinking out of anything that has plastic, what about this fucking straw? Right? This is what goes through my head now. Now I got to be like, okay, now I have to swap this out and make sure I have another metal. This is what you do. Like the older you get, the softer you get. Not necessarily physically, but like you soften as a person, and you funnel your needs into like these it gets more and more and more specific. When you're younger, the funnel's so big, it's like I need to like get a piece of pizza, get cigarettes, and like try to get some drugs and not die tonight.
Well,
and
mortality becomes more real every day you're on this earth.
Yeah. And
So-
I'm aging backwards.
You can fight it.
I'm fighting it.
What's
Tooth
the
and
guy
nail.
that he spends like $2 million a year now?
Yeah, he
that-
drinks his
Brian,
son's piss
whatever?
or something. Like
It's
yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
It's like I'm. There's a line. How enjoyable that could be, but he's trying to do it. So good for him.
Someone's got to do it, and he's going to start.
He'll figure out for the rest of us.
He'll figure out for the rest of us.
I'm
and
leaning into AI. I'm just really hoping AI is going to really solve that medical advancement situation.
Dude, I think AI. I was watching Terminator 2 the other day, and which is heavy AI based. It's all
Yeah.
about AI,
Yeah.
which is a long time ago. And even back then, they were like, "Don't do it." But like the more I think about it, like it's so fried. I think what's going to happen is AI is going to bankrupt the entire planet, because what's happening is like the AI is getting so smart and so advanced that you're essentially going to be able to be like, hey, like they're saying within like a year or two, you'll be able to tell AI to create a program. Be like, make me a version of TikTok, right? And it'll create an app for you.
Yeah.
And then it gives you the app, and then you also type in AI like, how do I go viral? Okay, here's how you go viral and get 1 million followers. Okay, if you can do that easily, and if you have 1 million followers, then you have access to commerce, right? So then basically the bridge between you and making hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars is like typing the right prompts. It will devalue all money. And this started happening with the NFTs when like you see some fucking 19-year-old.
Yeah, but it blew up. It fell apart.
It fell apart, but like it's back again. All this shit's coming back. Like crypto's back.
Sure, I think it self-regulates. I also don't have as doomsday a vision of AI. I think it's a tool, and I think it will continue to be a tool. Will it make certain things easier? For sure. But there was a guy bitching about tapes, and there was a guy bitching about CDs, and there was a guy bitching about typewriters, and then you know what I mean? It's that's there's always a scary new technology that's putting someone out of business, and like that's fucked up, you know what I mean? But that is how society works.
Do you use it?
Yeah. I use it every day. I love it.
Dude.
It's replaced Google for me for the most part.
But yeah, it's crazy that I can just basically like, you know, I tell people, I go, do you know how long it would take me to get this out of a graphic designer and how much it would cost me? Like, it's insane that you can do this with a sentence. You know what I mean? Like, now it's unusable because everything looks like this, but that's crazy. If you want
it's crazy. The thing is, what I've always been attracted to is things that exist in that world of what you talked about before, with Finn and Alexis going out, not being trained. This is trained. This is as trained as it gets.
Yeah.
And the imperfections that occur. And I think there will always be an appetite for that stuff within art.
Well, eventually, this is like in its infancy. It's going to be able to.
Yeah. I mean,
it'll be like, do me a very hand, you know, like you'll be able to describe a hand done.
For sure. It's coming, but you evolve. We have to evolve.
That's why we're all going to learn how to whittle. But then they'll be able to 3D sculpt out of fake wood.
So this is the new version of like the Brooklyn beer brewer, cheesemonger.
They were all those people.
That's going to be like some.
All those Williamsburg dudes are right. Like, we got to be artisanal fucking cocktail makers with waxy mustache.
My house has no electricity.
Exactly.
I only have candles in my house.
Only have candles, yeah.
It's coming.
It's coming.
I mean, it's fine. Whatever you want, whatever floats your boat. I don't think you have to do that. And anyone who's in fear of it, like, you can move to small town America and you can engage in a business that like people have to have.
Would you do that?
Move to small town America?
Let's say you made your nut. You're like you hit your number. Everyone has a secret number.
Yeah.
Right? You hit your number. You're happily married and you're like, and you have a kid and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna move to a little tiny outskirt town in you know, Utah or something, and I'm just gonna make taffy because that's what I want to do, or I'm gonna carve benches. Now,
I would just do what I'm already doing, but that's what I want to do.
Exactly.
Just in that place.
Yes.
But one of my close friends' dads, him and his father and his mother moved to Vermont to start a dairy farm.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
And they did it. I don't think it was a huge success or anything, but they still live there.
The ultimate sign that I say of wealth is owning a farm. It used to be like mansions and Lamborghinis. Now, the ultimate wealth is like being able to be sustainable. Like Maddie's house in Canada.
Yeah.
That to me is like, at the end of the day.
Well, your vision of wealth.
No, I think, but people who are really rich, a lot of artists who are rich, they just get farms.
Well, yeah, you have a Ted Turner bought up like
a
percentage of this country.
All those guys are, all the crazy rich fucking psycho
Montana,
like
that's why Montana's,
Instagram dudes are buying farms.
Yeah.
Like, and because they're writings on the wall and there's going to be like look, I'm not trying to be doom and gloom. These are just facts. There's going to be food crises and water issues, and like you have all your own stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And like, it would be nice. It would be cool to get out of.
My dream is to have a farm with an art studio. Yes, that's what I want.
That's my dream too.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to have a barn.
Yep. I want to work in a barn. I want to walk from my house to a barn.
Exactly.
And I wanted that to be my commute.
Let's design this barn. In the barn, I've drawn it. I've sketched it out. I drew it on my iPad. In the barn, first of all, I'll tell you about my barn. You tell me about your barn, okay? It's a really big space, and obviously concrete floors. It's not. There's no hay. There's no hay bales, and I have.
It's an art barn.
And we're talking like 2-3 stories, high ceilings, open bay doors that open. It's an art barn, just huge painting area, a sculpting area. So I have all the electric the electric stone grinders, big pieces of fucking alabaster to work on. So I have stone, I have paint, I have collage stuff. There's some wood. I'm fucking around. That's one section.
So it's like Brancusi's studio in one area.
I don't know who that is, but yes.
Yeah, if you saw it, it's like a bunch of big chopped blocks of wood and stone and the rest of it.
That's what I want to do. That's my dream. And that's one section. Another section of it would have probably my gym, which would be a sauna, heavy bag, mats, some kettlebells, all that shit, cold plunge, probably there. And then I'm going to have also my media area, which is computers. That's your media.
That's where the AI is happening.
That's where the AI.
You
That's
go
where
old school over here, AI over here, gym over here. What else?
And actually, the AI is set up with there's a projector, and I just wake up and I yawn, and it just projects an image, and I just trace it, and I'm going back to sleep.
Do you have dreams of truly disconnecting?
No, well, only right now. No, I think the only way that you can disconnect is if you have a family, because you can't just go be a hermit. Yeah. If I had a family and kids, like it would be something I'd be like, okay, well, now that we're this team, we can probably go anywhere. Let's go to fucking Fiji or something. But right now, as a single guy, like, when I think about like America and its deterioration, I'm like, what I'm gonna go to fucking Hungary and like just hang out and start from scratch. Like I can't imagine doing that.
No,
I've been friends with people here my whole life. Like, what am I'm gonna make new friends? Like,
I guess a simple level version of it is like full no social media.
Oh yeah. I would like to do that.
Yeah. Like it's tough because it's become part of all of our jobs.
Yeah.
Or at least in my mind, I think that I have to use social media to do what I do. But every day I'm like, I hate this device. I want to be off this fucking thing, but it is in my mind so crucial to what I do. And I don't know. They didn't exist before. People had art careers or businesses before social media. Is it required? I don't know. I think it is.
Well, it is. Especially for you and I, because we came up in that era, and that's part of what our lives are hinged upon.
Yeah.
But I love the kind of guys who are like, I don't know, does like Toby Maguire have a fucking Instagram? Probably not. Like guys like that who've like made their bones and like they're working in a system where like they don't have to be seen, they're already known.
Yeah,
Does fucking, I don't know, like some blue chip artist, does he need a social? Probably not, or she. Like, and if you don't have it, it's so great to never have to have it. Like you once in a while you run into one of these people who are like, I don't have it. And you're like, you're fucking dude. So sick.
Yeah. Jack
doesn't have it.
He had a flip phone up until 2017.
And he's like a virtuoso musician.
Yeah. And he still has no social media. I kind of corrupted him because when we were at the Loft, the first way I broke him into it was he had an iPod Touch. And he would use, because he needed to use Uber to get home because he didn't have a driver's license at the time. So he would log in on his Uber on my phone, and then he got an iPod Touch, and he could do those apps on the iPod Touch.
Really?
Yeah. Oh. He could use the Uber and Postmates and that on that. And then the final straw, we went to Japan. I didn't even think about this before, but he arrived, and I was there, and he arrived, and he texted me it was blue. And I was like, oh shit, he got an iPhone.
He arrived.
But it was like he would have been lost. How would you get around Tokyo with no iPhone at this point? It'd be so difficult.
I don't even know how. Like I remember literally going to a party from Venice and using my printer.
Yeah, you print out
MapQuest and being like, and I was like, and I remember doing that and being like, how did I get around before MapQuest? And like, cause like Alexis is like Rand McNally, pull up in that map, and I'm like, I'm lost. I'm like, what is this grid? I could never make sense of that.
Well, I had dinner with Saf last night. Cobra, shout out Cobra. And we were talking about this, and we, whatever. This is, I'm sure, really annoying for people younger than us, and everyone's already heard it. But like, I feel so lucky that I got to have a childhood without that.
Yeah.
And I saw the introduction of all this stuff, and that I know how to use it. But I also remember not having a cell phone and not having the internet, all these kinds of things, and not being inundated with it yet.
Yeah.
Because now I can't do anything without it. I hike every morning, and I can't go like 100 feet without picking my phone out of my pocket.
It's so cool.
And I hate it, but I'm like, and so that was more of my question is like, do you think you could truly disconnect like that?
I would like to go somewhere. And like, I can't really even when I'm on vacation, I got to be in touch with everyone here.
Yeah.
Because everyone's got problems that need to be fixed constantly. That's my job now, is just house mother, right? I'm just like,
well, it's micromanaging and all this kind of shit you have to
I'm not even micromanaging. I'm just I'm now
managing. You're managing.
I'm now managing, and it's like I'm going like, did you go, why didn't you come? Why did you work from home today and not tell me? Like, that's the person I'm becoming. I'm like, I hate it. I fucking hate it so much.
But you're a business owner.
I don't want to do it.
I tell this story to go back to Streetwear for a second. I tell this story not to pivot so hard, but like I remember when I was working on Fairfax, this was around 2011, it was a free for all. Everyone was hanging out all day. It was a bunch of kids, me personally getting fucked up, some other people getting fucked up, hanging out at Kibbutz, walking from store to store, getting free product, whatever. It was like that time. And I remember there was a day where everyone at Diamond got fired. And it was because someone had come into the upper echelon of the business and been like, this is not how a business functions.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's this scary thing when now that you're a business owner, I'm a business owner, I run my career, etc. I have to think about that shit. And I'm in kind of a moment where I'm like, oh, fuck, I have to like, not that I'm going to go fire my whole studio or something like that, but like, you know, it's like I have to be the adult in the room of the business, which sucks.
And then people will get mad. Like I'm sure all the people that got fired at Diamond, I guarantee you not one of them was like, I deserved it. They were all just like, man, fuck that shit.
Everyone was like, fuck that shit.
Fuck that fool. But like, yo, it's a business. Like you're not bringing in the fucking dollars to keep the lights on. You're not a part of the business. Like it's really simple. But like you don't know that as a kid and you get older, you're like, yeah, like I'm talking to consultants right now about shit. And like, you know, one of these guys like, you know, I might come in here and I might ask you to do some things you don't want to do. And I'm like, I'm willing to do them because it's not about loyalty. It's about like, yo, are you keying up your side of the fucking bargain here? Because I'm paying you. You have health insurance. Like, you know what I mean? Like I should see a return on that. Not just like, are you the homie?
Yeah.
And that's the line that you step over as like,
which is why you shouldn't work with your homies.
Right. That's hard.
Because then you have to have an unfortunate conversation like that. And then a friendship is ruined.
Friendship is ruined,
which is like,
but that's all. But nobody knows that. The only people that understand that position are the people that are in that position. No one can understand it, and no one will ever take responsibility for themselves being a fuck up. Like even when I've fucked up, I've been like, man, fuck that fool for calling me out for not coming to work. You know, like that's the attitude we all have.
This is you. I went on the podcast. I was listening. You guys mentioned this. Everyone thinks they're right, even good and bad people. Everyone thinks they're always right.
Everyone thinks they're right,
and you know, it's like this balance of that all the time. Even when you know you're wrong. You know, we do a thing that makes us accountable.
Yeah.
But even as the people that we are, there is still the first reaction to be like, no, but I am right.
Yeah.
Even if I know deep down I am wrong.
Yeah.
And it sucks having to come to
I have the ability to understand people's perspective. And I even have the ability to understand someone's perspective who's like, who I think is doing the wrong thing, but like I understand where you're coming from. I understand people's feelings. I understand that you feel a certain way and that you're coming from a place where you know, and I'm coming from a place where like, okay, but I have to do this, and you're you know, and it's.
Well, we live in a society where everyone can be validated constantly, in many numerous ways.
Yeah,
AI is definitely not going to help that. But that's probably not to go veer into politics, but that's like why we're in the situation we are in, because we all live in echo chambers that tell us we're right. Yeah. And we can consume things that tell us we're right.
We're also like the crazy thing about it is. You want to believe that, you know, like you'd want to believe that if something happened on a mass scale here in America, I don't know, some sort of fucking genocidal, whatever the fuck situation, you want to believe that because of social media and because of all the cameras, we would know. But like, there's no way of fucking knowing like what the fuck's going on because people, there's no sense of reality. You can gaslight people into believing anything. People will believe whatever their side tells them to believe at this point. And people were like, I saw this whole thing about, there's a psychologist who kind of broke down this like decade-long psyop that Russia's been doing to us, which involves Trump. And where the way it nets out is that anyone that's a loyal Trump loyalist will back up anything that he does. If he goes on TV and shoots a baby in the head, they'll justify it and they'll say, A, it was fake. B, they'll find a way. There's no world where they can ever fault that person.
Yeah.
And that's a system that I think Russia helped build to help destabilize us because now we have no sense of reality. And half of the country is like following this like demagogue. Is that the right word? Demagogue? I don't know. But like, you know, this person who's like, you know, this cult of personality and they are blindly willing to do whatever he does. And even if he says like, hey, I'm going to take a guy that knows nothing about anything and put him in charge of the Department of Education, like crazy shit. Like, oh, by the way, my buddy Steve's going to run the FBI. Like, and everyone's like, yeah, this guy knows what's up. It's like, what? No, there's
the guy who's constantly hating on the FBI is now going to be in charge of the FBI.
Yeah. Let's make Elon Musk the king of all robots. Like what? Like there's no, it's like my son Baron is now going to, be in charge of buildings. You know what I mean?
Well,
like, and it's
Yeah, it also just comes back to class warfare, and it comes back to the fact that certain people have too much money, and I mean that's why this Luigi situation is. Certain people are trying to downplay it, but it's like it's opening. I'm not saying it's fixing anything.
I love. You know what's funny? I love that the reaction from women on the internet to Luigi. And I always am like, this is the new funny thing that everyone's doing. Like everyone's like, oh yeah, fucking slay.
I love Luigi.
But the truth is that women do love murderers. Like,
Well,
and they actually, I think 75 to 80% of those women would fuck him. And it's not just a bit. I think they are actually.
Well, he's also an attractive guy.
Yes,
He's smart.
Yeah.
He's
Great eyebrows.
I mean, who knows what's coming out, and who knows? You know, I don't like to be a person who doesn't believe anything, but who knows what's going to come out on that? But the whole thing is nuts.
I mean,
It's like, why was he caught? But I don't want to be one of these people. Like, I don't know. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. But it is the whole thing is very nuts. Luigi, the hot murderer.
guys, go to Hennessy and Ingles Barnes & Noble to get Lead Me Not Into Temptation, For I'll Find It Myself by Matt McCormick, a.k.a. Manface. It's been a pleasure. It's always a pleasure seeing Manface. What a history we have. It's been
We
a
do have a
decade.
history.
He's been I think that
Over a decade.
I'm the client of me, the buyer of my breath, negotiating stardust with the gravity of death. I'm the client of me, my architect, my key, revolving doors of chaos and fragile circuitry. Penis,